All right, fantastic. Okay, let me share my slides with you all, and I'm going to put the link to the slides in the chat as well. All right, so there's a link to our slides. I will send that out after the session as well, but you can open it up if you want to and make a shortcut to it, or just have it open and then you can click on some of the live links in there. It's not required. It's just that's wait, you have it now if you want it. So today's meeting, so a reminder, and I know some of you are new, the way we've been doing Google Club this year has been following the content that is included in the Educator Certificate number 1. So if you're interested in getting your Google Educator Certificate, the content that we've been covering would kind of get you to that place. But that's just been kind of a backbone for us, right? That's just a theme that we've been using. And in the process, we've been going into whatever folks are interested in particular. This, and I will say the one thing about the certificate is that it is based on the idea that you're using Google Workspace for education, which is different. So for example, my organization has Google Workspace for nonprofits. Many businesses pay money to Google to have Google Workspace for business. And school systems often use Google Workspace for education, and there are several layers, several different levels of Google Workspace for education. So there's some things that I'm guessing most of us do not have a Google Workspace for Education account because it's kind of, they make it difficult. There may be ways to work around it, but they generally want you to be either a K-12 school or university. So it's been hard for you as an individual to get access to that. And it just means there are certain things that are not something that we have easy access to. So for example, when I was doing some research for this session today, if you have Google Workspace for Education, when you go to Google Classroom, you have something called practice sets. We don't have that. We can't see that. We can't make that happen. So there are going to be certain things if you do decide to go forward and take the assessment for the certification that you might hit up against things that you've never heard of and we can't actually see because it really is based on the Google Workspace for Education.
So the certification is through DYCD.
Google.
How do we apply for it,
So
or
it's through
it's
Google.
like a training?
It looks like this. So this is a Google product, right? This is Google. Google has for many years had different kinds of certification. They've had educator certification, which goes all the way up, I think, to trainer. And then they used to have certificates on basic skills in Google. That's kind of gone away now. It's more specialized to particular kinds of job titles, which are often quite advanced in technology. So I don't often talk about those. This Google Educator Level 1 certification has meaning in the sense that it is a national certificate, and in the world of ed tech and maybe more in K-12, it would be recognized as a really great credential to have. In adult education, I don't know that a lot of programs understand that it exists, and certainly so they might not know that it's a benefit. It does cost $10 to take the test. You can take it on your own computer in your own home at any time. You do have to register, and there's a little bit of a time delay between registering and being sent your acceptance and special link to your test. They warn you, you can see here, it says that it's 180 minutes long. What? 3 hours? It isn't. I think I did it in 45 minutes and maybe even less than that. But they give you all of that time in case you need to go slowly and whatever. There are some tricky questions. They definitely do a lot of the question types are, which two of these are examples of XYZ. So you have to really read them and you have to notice if they're little square checks that usually are check boxes, that means there's more than one answer that you're supposed to select. And if there's circles, so it's a good exercise also in just taking online tests because it really does help you realize the struggles just in the way the test is delivered, not just the actual content that you're being tested on. And you
So
can take it.
this is the test. Is there a training for this to then to take the test or
Yes.
no?
So there are training materials. This is the next slide. And if you go to the skill shop, it will take you through all the things that I'm taking us through Google Club, right? So when I've been developing our sessions, I've been going to what materials they've developed and then adding some things that I think are important. So you can go to that link on slide 6 and you'll see all of the stuff they want you to review, or you can go back and look at and I'll share out the blog link, but our blog has all of the sessions that we've done. They're recorded, the materials are there. Um, Again, it's actually a pretty fast quiz. Or the assessment's pretty fat, like not so many questions. Just some of the questions are tricky because they'll be like, well, what are 3 ways you can share a folder? Right? Like, and you have to be like, well, I know 2, but so it's all multiple choice though, and you can kind of, I think I guessed on a few things and I passed.
Can
Again,
you take it more than once now,
take it more
or
than once. Yep. It will cost you $10. I don't know that there's a delay between times of taking it. I don't think there is. Um, but I can look into that, but I don't believe there is. So you would register for it. The thing I was surprised was that is a delay in between. You click register and then they kind of have to do some stuff and then they send you an email and then you have a certain amount of time, like several days, in which you can take the test, or they refund your money. So it's not super smooth. Like you can't just decide at midnight tonight that you want to take it. You're going to have to register, and then it will give you a space of time that you can, in which you can take the test. The 180 minutes for me meant that like I really had to set time aside, and then when I took it, it really didn't take that long. Um, but that, it's good to give yourself some breathing room on either end. We are close to I think there's one more. Next session is the last piece in their particular list of topics to cover. So next time we're talking about measuring learner progress with Google Forms, Sheets, and Slides. And then our April session, we're going to review. And you're welcome to take the test before then if you're interested, but certainly at that time, we will review some questions and quiz you a little bit. And so if you want to wait until then, that's another possibility. But you certainly can go ahead also and look at their materials because they're pretty short and they have some videos on how to do things and you can, kind of go at your own pace and try them out. So think about that. You can always, reach out to me if you have other questions. This is certificate 1. There is a certificate 2, which I haven't taken yet. I'm intrigued by. And then, as I mentioned, you can go all the way up to trainer. I think there's 3 other levels. It doesn't, because we don't use, most of us are not using Google Workplace for Education, and we're not generally in the K-12 system. It doesn't have a lot of oomph for you maybe, but it is something I like it. I like to have a certificate. It's kind of nice to have a certificate. I've seen people put it in their signature line on their emails, or you certainly could have it on your LinkedIn or your resume. And it would demonstrate that you had done the work, right? That you were familiar with ways to use Google for Education and were familiar with the tools the way that they think they're useful. Any other questions about that? We haven't talked about it for a bit, but
Can you also send us in our email these informations, the slides?
absolutely. So what will happen after
Thank
today,
you.
either later today or tomorrow, I will send an email to everyone who registered, which will have I'll as I said, we're recording, so this whole recording will be put up on YouTube, and you'll have a link to that, and you'll have a link to the slides, and the registration links for future sessions. So you'll definitely get that. And I know some of you also like certificates to show attendance. Just remind me, just email me and ask me because I will forget. I don't, not everybody needs them, and let me know if you do. All right, just to back us up a little bit. So our goals today are that you're going to be able to create a class in Google Classroom, that you'll be able to locate where the files go that are created when you make Google Classroom assignments and people send in their homework, where does all of that live? And then giving feedback using comments and the suggestion mode in Google Docs. So that's kind of our primary focus today. You'll see that in the slides, I've given you access to the slides, but the slides also give you access to our folder, and our folder has some of the examples we'll be looking at today, and I will send that link to you as well via email. A new thing, maybe you've already seen this, I think we just were asked to start including it into our slide decks, is that DYCD has created something called DYCD Connect, and it has an announcements message board. And so they just want us to remind you that it's there and that you might learn about other workshops there. Looks like there might be registration links inside it. So something to be aware of. That's the next slide. As I mentioned, today's session is on managing learner work and giving feedback. Next time we'll be measuring learning progress with Google Forms, Sheets, and Slides. We're going to talk a little bit about Sheets and Slides today. And then the last of these sessions will be in April, where we'll do a review. And then the last two sessions of the year will be a show and tell, and then the last one will be sort of planning for the summer. So depending on whether you decide to take the certificate or if you're interested in trying out some of the other, they have actually a lot of other online trainings that Google has available. And so we can talk a little bit about that as we get there. So slides 5 and 6 really talk about the certification. And these are the next few meetings. There you go. So yeah, show and tell, summer project planning. So the tools that we're going to be looking at today are primarily Google Classroom, but Google Classroom connects to everything else, right? So it's a learning management system that allows you to keep everything in one place, but you're using all the Google tools, and it actually connects to your Google Drive. So it's just a different window, I guess you could say, or a different portal for you to go through and organize all of this kind of content with your learners. So how many of you, I'm going to stop sharing for a second just to get a sense, and you can either unmute, you can put something in the chat, or you can just wave your hand. How many of you use Google Classroom pretty regularly? How many of you have never used Google Classroom?
I use Google Classroom for the Department of Education.
Okay. So you have some familiarity with it, Madeline.
Only when it's emergency.
And
When they
I've
cancel the
never
class, I
used
have
it.
to do.
And Nozilla, you said you've never used it.
I've never used it, and I'm not familiar with it, so that's why I wanted to get a.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just want to get a sense of the room, but it feels
I've
like
heard a lot of good stuff about it from my friends that are using it, and since I didn't know how to use it, I registered for the session.
Well, you're in exactly the right place. All right, so we're going to kick it off. My question to you, and it's a question I ask often, is how do we get to Google Classroom? Can anyone suggest a way? Where is it? How would you get there?
Oh, Lord, classroom.google.com.
Look at you, exactly. It's like every other tool in Google that we know of, where you can get to it by going to the name of the tool, .google.com. So here we have classroom.google.com, and just to remind you, all of these tools work that way. But there are some other ways to get there. So when we talk about Google, my goal is about efficiency, and I'm not at all telling you that you have to do it the same way I do it. So if it's more efficient, a different way for you, that's totally fine. So I use Chrome right now. The browser I have open is Chrome, and when I look at my drive, I have up here, as I scroll over it, you see it says Google Apps. So we call this the app launcher, and sometimes it's called a waffle. And that's another way to get to a lot of these tools, right? So, and this can be arranged the way you want to. So I have Google Classroom here, but if I'm using Classroom a lot, I might want to click on it and drag it up and have it be at the very top. right? Like I don't really use contacts very often, so contacts is towards the bottom, but the things I like to use a lot, it's helpful to have those near the top because this actually scrolls down even further. So that's definitely another way. And this is what the icon looks like for Google Classroom, right? So it's like a chalkboard, I guess is the idea. So we could go into our browser. I could make a new tab and I could type classroom.google.com. And that would take me to Classroom. But if I'm, so again, in my kind of workflow every day, and I think I've just said this for other folks, when I turn on my computer, the first thing I do is I open up my Outlook email, and the second thing I do is I open Chrome. And when I open Chrome, I already have, I think, like 5 tabs that open, and one of those is Google Drive. So going through Google Drive is very easy for me. It feels, it's not an extra step. But I could similarly have Google Classroom open automatically every time I open my Chrome browser. So you can think about ways, if you end up using this, you can think of ways of having it be available to you all the time. So you don't even have to type it in or go find it. So we see here the classes that I have created. And over here, we see the classes I'm teaching and the classes I'm enrolled in. So if you end up in some classes, like today, you're going to be invited to come in as a student, you're going to see the class that you're joined today down in this section, and you can close these up so it's not so confusing. But if you were creating a class, you would see it under teaching. And when we look at this screen, what else do you notice? How do you think we create a new class? What do you see here that looks like things we've seen in other Google products if we want to create something new?
You click on the plus sign.
Perfect. So this is something to notice, right? That in Google, the plus sign is usually a place where you can go to make a new thing. If I'm in my Drive and I want to make a new thing, I have this plus sign here. If I'm in my slides and I want to make a new slide, I click on the plus sign. So plus signs in Google usually are going to indicate to you that it's how you make something new. So I'm going to go ahead and click the plus sign, and I can either join a class or create a class. So right now I'm going to create a class. In a little while, you can follow along if you want to, and either beside the Zoom screen or even with the Zoom screen made very small, you can go ahead and create your own class as well. Once I've created the class, though, I'm gonna invite you to join it, so you'll get to experience it from the joining side. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and create, and it wants to make sure that I'm all good with all this stuff, and I'm all good with it. I've read it and understood it. I'm going to continue. So I'm going to give the class a name. And if you are someone who's teaching several classes, you might want, you want to think about how are you going to differentiate. So we're going to call this Tuesday. Actually, today's Wednesday, right? So we'll call it Wednesday Google Club. And I'll put the year for the sake of that. If section, subject, room are helpful, you can fill those in, but they're not required. I'm just going to go ahead and create it. And immediately when I've created it, I get into my classroom. So this is what the classroom looks like. If you noticed when I was back here in the teaching tab, so if I go home, I see all the classes I have. And you can see there's slightly, there are some different colors, different headers. So you can actually add your own header. If you're someone for whom color stands out, you can change the color of your class. So if I click on these 3 dots, oh, it won't let me do it here. It'll let me do it when I open it up. We'll look at it that way. But so you can add your own header, or you can change the color, and that can be something that's helpful for you when you're organizing it. So to get to this class, I just click on it now. It's here. If I customize this, that's what I meant about the color. So these are my color options, or I can upload a photo, select a photo. If you're familiar with Canva, you can very easily make a header for a Google Classroom in Canva. They have that already set up as a template, and so you can have something that will fit exactly in here. But you could also select a photo. I guess they have their images, subjects, let's have what should we have? We'll do this one. Okay, so that'll be our select our class theme, and we're going to make it turquoise, and we'll save it. No, didn't like the turquoise idea. What else do you see here now? I'm going to go ahead and close this off on the side. So the menu here, as often is with those 3 lines like a hamburger, if I click on that, I can see my menu, and if I don't want to see it, I can do that. What are some things you notice on this page?
The class code.
Excellent, right? So here's my class code. So there are 2 ways I can add people to my class. If I have your email address, I can go in and manually add all your email addresses, or I can share this code with you, and then you can go to that plus sign and say join class and then put in our code. Otherwise, we have these 4 tabs up here, right? So stream is the main page where everything kind of shows up. As we add assignments and other content, it'll all show up in this area. Classwork is where I create assignments or add content that learners will come back and find. People are the people in the classroom. So this is where you could invite students or you could add them, depending on how you want to do it. So to me, it's easiest if I just give you the code and you join. But if you have a clear way to get a list of all the Google related emails of your learners, you can add them using this little, oh, this is teacher, sorry. So we can invite students this way by putting in all their email addresses. This is actually good to know too. You can have a co-teacher, right? So you can add other students to your group, or you can add other teachers. So if there's more than one teacher teaching the same class or teaching similar content, you could both be in the same class together.
So the class, the material that we make, we put it on this, or
So-
the homework that we gave to this
Yes.
is
So
the classwork.
yes. So the way that works, right? So we said the stream is kind of our home page where everything will show up. But when you're the one creating it, you're the teacher, you go to classwork, and I want to create an assignment, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click create using that plus sign again. And these are the options I have, right? I can create an assignment, which will actually have a due date and can have a point value assigned to it, right? It could be very formalized. If you want to use all those bells and whistles, you don't have to. You could create a quiz assignment, which will be using Google Forms. You could ask a question, and you could share material, something that you want people to read or a video you want people to watch. And then if you've made content in another class and you want to bring it over here and reuse it, you can click on reuse post, and then you'll be able to move a copy of content you've created somewhere else over here. You can also organize everything under topics. So if you were building this class in advance, you might know what your curriculum is or what you plan, the different topics you're going to be covering. The topic here, that concept, it could be actually the week name or something like that. So it's a way of organizing things into buckets. I'm going to go ahead and create an assignment.
Can we also share YouTube videos
Yes.
that we show it in class?
Yes.
For them to just review it at home?
Yes. So just to show you again, right? If I click on create and I click on assignment, I actually immediately have access to YouTube here. So I would recommend that you have gone out to YouTube and found the link. So let's say Google Classroom Basics, YouTube. So I'm going to find a basics video and stop playing it.
Hi there.
Okay. And
Jamie Key here today at Teachers Tech.
And we're going to pretend I've carefully decided that this was a very useful video, so I'm not guaranteeing that it is, but we're going to say that I did that. I'm going to go here to the share link, and I'm going to copy that link. And you see that I'm bouncing back and forth between tabs up here. So now I'm going to go back to my classroom. Remember that I said I wanted my classroom to be teal colored or that turquoise color. That actually impacts this little favicon up here. So if I had 4 or 5 classes and I gave them different colors, they would show up with different colored little icons there. So that's one reason to make choices there, because otherwise it will all look the same and you'll have to kind of figure out which one's which when you're bouncing between them. So to add that YouTube video to this assignment, I would click on the YouTube icon. I'm going to paste that link that I just grabbed from that video that I carefully chose. I'm going to search for it. There it is. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and add it. So now that video is in here, my assignment is going to be watch this video and answer 3 questions. Okay. You could write some instructions here. So you might want them to, you have to, tell them how to give you the information, right? So watch this video and answer the following and I am going, so I'm not going to take the time to come up with the questions right now. One of the things I would do, and it would be to obviously watch the video and determine what were the most important pieces. We can guess that it's going to tell you how to create a class. So let me just add that in here. I'm going to leave it at that one question. Over here on the side, I can see how many points I want to give it. Perhaps you don't even care about points, right? A lot of adult ed, I don't think we do a lot of grading, but you could add points if you want to. You can give it a due date, right? So I can choose tomorrow, or let's choose next week. We can do March 4th. I'm not going to require time. And I haven't created topics already, so I'm going to go ahead and create a topic here. I can do that in either place, right? I can come here and create a topic, or before I created the assignment, I could have created a topic. And if you have a rubric for scoring whatever the work is, then you could do that. I'm going to go ahead. Now I could also choose. So right now, Maria is the only person in. I'm going to invite you in and then you'll see, but I could actually assign this just to an individual learner or to 5 of the learners. So you can send it to everybody, or you can just assign it individually. And I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click assign. So now if I go back to my stream, I see that there's an assignment. So for the learner, this would be important, right? They know they can come here and see this. They also will have a calendar, and the assignments will show up in the calendar as well. And as you notice here, this was, for me, I made this assignment in a class that is blue colored, and the one that I just made is in the teal color. So again, the color of the class will impact the color of the assignment here, and only the people in a class will see that assignment. So your students won't see assignments that you've created for other classes. All right, so let's go back to our class and go ahead and join our class. So we said the way you do that, right, is to go to that plus sign when you're in the home, right? You're going to go to this plus sign. You're going to click join class, and it's going to ask you for the code. And you just want to make sure this is an email address. This is why I wanted you to be logged into your Google account, because you're going to be connected through the Google account you logged in with. So let me go back out so you can see the code. And I can even make that bigger. I can also send you an invite link. So if I copy that and put it in the chat, that's another way you can join. Sorry, Wei Hong, I didn't see your comment in the chat, which is perfect. So you have a couple of ways to do it right now. You can go to that plus sign and put in our class code, or you can click the link in the chat, and that should help you join our class.
So I get out of this and go to my drive and paste it in?
So you shouldn't have to do that. You'll have to be open. You'll have to have your browser open. So the steps right now would be you all need to go to classroom.google.com. So and you could do it on your phone if you don't want to mess with your different screens here. So you could go on your phone and open up a browser and type in classroom.google.com. Or if you have your browser open, you just want to open a new tab. So let's say I get rid of a couple of these guys. Right? So I would plus, and then up here, I would type in classroom.google.com. Or, sorry, if you already have your drive open, you could go to that waffle and click on that and choose Classroom from there. And then once you have Classroom open, that's where you're going to click on the little plus sign. But I think if you click on the link that I just put in the chat, it should open it up as well. So let me know if anyone's having any struggles with this.
It didn't open. It says that sign in, use your Google account. My Google account is on, and
It
it
didn't
didn't
like
go
it.
through.
So then let's try the other way, where you actually go in and open up a tab and get to Google Classroom.
So I have the classroom on my
So you're
computer
able to
right
see it.
now. It says join class.
Okay.
So I go to join class. It asks me for the code, and I can't copy the code from here, right?
I can copy it and put it in the chat. So the code is now in the chat. And this is always going to be a little challenging. So if you're doing this with learners, you're going to want to have, class 1 and class 2 where people are joining. Some people are going to not remember their Google account login information. So you're going to want to take a little time, and then there might be 1 or 2 people who really struggle with it. You might have to meet with them individually, even if you're doing this remotely.
It says wrong account. The code looks correct, but your account can't access this class.
The Google account you're using, Nazila, is it your own personal Google account, or is it associated with a school or a program or your work?
It's with a school or program.
Yeah. So sometimes if you are joining through Google, so as I mentioned, my organization has Google Workspace for nonprofits. Sometimes the security settings on those won't let you join.
Okay, so I should go to my
Your personal one.
personal account.
If you have a personal
Okay.
account. But this is great that you're bringing this up, because this is you won't know it until you hit it. We used to see that sometimes with Google Forms, we'd invite people to join our forms and they wouldn't be able to because they were joining from their own work accounts. And the security settings are just different, right? Every agency has its own set of security settings. So with your
So
learners,
let me go to my Google, my Gmail.
anybody else having any struggles, or you're all in there? I'm going to stop for a second and go see who all my people are. Oh, we got a few of you in there. Are other people struggling to join? Or you're not trying it out?
So now I'm gonna go to my drive. Let's see. So in a new tab, I should put Google Classroom.
Yes, classroom.google.com, or if you can see those 9 little dots, you can click on those.
Yes. .google.com.
So classroom.google.com.
Okay, now I paste it. Join it. It's the same thing. It says wrong account, but this is my personal account now.
Gotcha. So when you did that, you see at the
I
top.
can join the class.
Yeah, okay. So if you are, let me invite you. If you want to send me your email address in the chat, you can send it just directly to me and I can put you in that way too.
Let me change it again. See, okay, now let me join it because
Sometimes
okay,
people
now
don't like,
I got it.
yay!
Yes.
Threatening it fifth way. But if anybody else wants to do it that way too, absolutely fine. So the third way, so we had way number 1, which is that you have the code and do it the way that Nozilla just did it, where you have to go to google.com or classroom.google.com. You have to click the plus sign, join a class, and then put in our code. Another way is the link that I put in the chat that is actually a join link, and I don't know if that worked for anybody. And then the third way would be that you actually get their email address and you're able to type that in here. And then they'll get an invite in their Gmail. So they'd have to go to their Gmail and accept it that way. So if you're struggling with any learners, yeah.
Okay, and when I use it with the yes,
Oh, Madeline, you're breaking up a bit.
then huh?
You're breaking up a little bit. It's hard to understand you.
I'm sorry. I said that I use it for the ESL program too. I have to open an email account and then then you need an email account.
Yes.
I
So
do with ESL program.
So that is a really good point, right? That in order to use this with your learners are all going to have to get Google accounts, and they might not have them when you first start working with them. As this is Google Club, I'm taking it as a given that that's of interest to you. Certainly, we've seen that a lot of the content that you create with Google, people do not need to have accounts or be logged into their accounts. For example, to take a Google Forms quiz, you create it, you need an account, but the person taking it does not need an account. But I would highly recommend, if I was going to say what are some of the basic tools and abilities that I think folks need, having a Google account. You don't have to use the Gmail. You don't have to do lots of the bells and whistles stuff, but everybody should have a Gmail email address that's relatively professional. So they might have more than one, right? I could be fluffy123@gmail.com, but I should also have a Nell Eckersley@gmail.com, and I should remember my password. That's a really important skill. And really challenging, right, for all of us. So coming up with techniques around that, either in how you create the password so it's easier for you to remember, or how you save them, write them down, whatever you're doing to be able to access them again. So the challenges so far that we've seen, right, are being logged into Google accounts that won't let you connect to a class because of security settings. And then logging out and logging in of Google accounts can be tricky. There's it can be you're logged out, but then you're not quite logged out. Let me refresh this and make sure we've got all the folks that have tried to come in. Yay, look at that. Wow, fantastic. So we got lots of folks here now. So when you're looking at the class yourself, you also see very much the same thing I do, right? That's the beauty of Google Classroom. It's a very level playing field. The difference is whether you're the teacher or you're enrolled, right? And so when you're enrolled, what you see is a little different because you don't get to create assignments. So you're seeing something like this. You have a stream, which again will be all the work that the teacher is putting in there or conversations that people are having. It acts like a forum as well. And it's chronological, right? So the newest stuff goes to the top. You're going to see the classwork. So again, this is going to have very clear, so these would be topics, these bigger headers. So this is something I'm showing you of a class that I'm enrolled in, not that you're enrolled in, right? So you have your topics, and then under the topic, there are several different things. So there might be materials. The icons mean different things, right? So this little icon means materials. I don't know what that one means. We'll come back to it. And then you can see all the other people in your class. So you could actually contact them maybe or have interactions with other folks there. And you have the calendar. So again, if you were to look at the calendar now, you should see the assignment on March 4th. So you could click on it from here to get to the assignment, and I can see all. So now I'm looking at it from the teacher perspective, right? So I was showing you from an enrollment perspective, and now I'm looking at the class that I started that you joined. And this is how I can track all the learners in my classroom. And look at that, Wei Hung has already done his homework. So he's turned it in. And I can look at returning it, I can excuse it, or I can mark it as missing. And in this case, it's fantastic, he's turned it in. And I can look at what's been what's ungraded. So then, you know, it helps me isolate the things I need to do work on. The instructions are here. So where does this, Wei Hung, how did you do the homework? I didn't actually give very good directions. How did you answer the question? Do you want to unmute and tell us? Oop, there we have Michael's also done it. Michael, how did you do it? Either of you can tell us. How did you?
Just making sure I was unmuted. I'm not gonna lie, I cheated. No.
Yay!
Not so much. Not so much. It would mean watching the whole video, but when I did it, it pops up on the right hand side saying complete or I could actually unsubmit it actually if I had to.
So you checked so basically you just checked the box that you'd watched the video and then you were answering the question. Because I didn't give very good detailed instructions, right? I didn't say how you should answer the questions. That's fine because it just means the next class we come together and I'm going to ask the questions and you're just going to all talk about the answers, right? Otherwise, I could have given you very clear directions like send me the answers in an email or whatever. But as Michael's saying, you get to check off that you did the assignment or not. And that means that you get to decide when you're done. So you decide that you've sent it in. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. And yeah, in this case, you didn't have to watch the video at all. But in that way, you can assign tasks that don't actually have an output, like something that's actually going to come into Google Classroom.
So I didn't get it. I wanted to answer the question, but where do I go to do that?
Well, this is what I'm saying, Nazilla. I didn't create a very good activity because I don't have anything there for you to answer. So what I should do as a teacher, if I go back to the instructions and I edit the instructions, I'm going to say, watch the video and answer the following question. The following question, we'll just say that, right? Following question.
That one question that I is there. So as a student, I want to go to the Google Classroom to answer it.
Zoom chat. So for this one, I'm just telling you to put it in the Zoom chat. If I wanted to create a document, so that's my direction now, right? I could also create a document. And I'm going to call this, oh, my internet is not stable. I'm going to call this Google Classroom Basics. And I'm going to take that question. So let's ignore this piece. I'm going to put the question in the doc. Oops, in the wrong place. Here. And I want you to put your name. All right, so I'm creating a single document. I'm putting the question in the document, and I'm also asking you to put your name in the document. And now I want to make it something where you can edit the file. And it didn't give it a doc title yet. Let's see. I'm just refreshing it to see if it does that then. Oh, I didn't save it, I guess. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, it's going to create a new one. Sorry. I'm making this seem much more complicated than it really is. All right. So now I want you to be able to edit it. How do I save it? Oh, there's the save. All right, so now when you go to that assignment, you should also see the document and you should be able to edit it. And I think I've set it up so that you're all going to be editing one. So you're going to have to copy and paste this over and over again, if it makes sense. There is a way to set it up so that everyone makes a copy of the document. And I'm not remembering how to make it do that. So I might have to look that up and share it with you separately, unless someone else has a way, someone else who's used Google Classroom. So what I'm looking for is a situation where each of you are going to make your own document and share your homework with me. Let me get rid of this guy. You'd probably be able to tell us though. So you're able to go ahead and edit. I see lots of you in here. There you go, Marika. Fantastic. Thank you. This is definitely the kind of assignment, though, where I really would probably prefer each of you to be able to answer it on your own document. So having a shared document is not so helpful. I'm trying to see. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. So I'll have to look that up unless anyone else wants to unmute and tell us. But there is definitely a way. That is one of the powers of Google Classroom, is that as a teacher, you make a document one time, and then it will just prompt all your learners to make their own version of that. So with Google, we always have that choice when we're thinking about how we're using it. Is it a place where everyone's just coming to see something? Is it a place where everyone is coming together to work in one location? Or is it something where everyone should make their own version of the document? And you can do that without Google Classroom, but it just takes a little bit more work. Apparently, I don't know how to do it in Google Classroom, but it definitely is possible. So I will figure that out for us and get that information for you. Nazila, is it making sense? You're muted, sorry. You're muted, Nazila. It's okay. There you
I'm
go.
working in two screens. So I went to the assigned work, and when I click it, it gives me a Google Doc without anything, without my name or anything. And
So you have to
and
type
when
inside it.
and when I finish it, and I want to go back, It says turn in.
Okay, so that's how you could send it to me. And so we'll figure out more explicitly. I'll give you very explicit directions on this part. I'll add those to our slides. My question, though, is where does that content go? If Nazilla turns her document in, where does it go? How do I access it as a teacher?
Archived classes, or maybe go to.
So it actually goes to my Google Drive. So whatever Google Drive is associated with the same email address that I used when I created this class, if I go to my Drive, there are other ways to do it in here. I just personally, I like the idea that I can get to it through my Drive. So if I go to my Drive and I look up whatever the name of our class is, which was Wednesday. There it is. So as I start to type it in there, you'll see there's a new folder that's been created, and everything from our class, including those the two documents I started to make, are there. And a folder was made for my assignment that I made. I did not make this folder. It was automatically made for me by Google Classroom. And when I open that up, I'm seeing some people's stuff in here, right? So Zilla, this is where yours ended up. So however you did that, when you added your own document, that's where it came to.
Okay. It was a blank document. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. I was just trying to figure out how I gave you that instruction, and I guess I still don't know,
Okay.
but that's fantastic.
All right. Thank
So-
you.
So both as a learner and as a teacher, you kind of have to know how to do these two things, right? So there's making a new document, submitting it, and then as a teacher knowing that the submitted document, it's something you should be able to get to from in here. If I go back to our class and I look at classwork and I look at this assignment, I can review work from here as well. I don't want to do that. Yay, look at that. So is this you? This is somebody else's, I think. Not Nazilla's,
Okay,
right?
so I did it on my iPhone,
Okay,
and I had the option drawing or text box, so that's why the bullet points.
fantastic, right? So that's great that you tried it on your phone, and it came in as a PDF. So the downside of the PDF is that when we talk about giving feedback, which is another piece of all of this, I can't easily give you feedback here. I can certainly write some comments on the side. And it looks like I can, oh, that's comment bank, never mind. So I can put comments on the side, but I can't go in and comment on them. If I'm looking at, let me go back. This is Nazilla's. So Nazilla didn't write anything here, but what I can do is I can write some comments like, Nazilla, I don't see your work, right? I can put a comment in. So when you're looking at Google, this is more about Google Docs, right? So if we're looking at a Google Doc, someone has submitted their writing, and this is an example I have in our folder for today. Let me get back to that. The multiple layers of my folder system. So here's an example of homework that I did. This is my actual typing because I'm really terrible at typing. So I typed and I didn't make any corrections. And I submitted it as homework, for example, and my teacher, who happens to be the New York City Coalition for Adult Literacy, because I wanted to use a separate email address, came in and made all of these suggestions. So does this look, is there something in Word, Microsoft Word, that's similar to this that you know, where people can suggest changes but don't actually make the changes? You can put it in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. So in Outlook, or sorry, in Microsoft Word, we would call this track changes, right? And it means that I can make suggestions for changes I think would be helpful, but you, the author, have to accept them, or you can say no. And that's very different than me just going in and changing your writing. So we have two options as teachers giving feedback in a Google document. We have the option of comments, which is this little speech bubble with a plus sign on it, which we always have access to as long as we have comment access. So when you're sharing your documents, you want to make sure your learners are sharing them with you with comment access. We also, up here, we have different ways that we're using this document. And so even if you have edit access, you don't want to edit this. You want to suggest. So the suggesting is like the track changes. That's what this pink writing is here. It's a suggestion. So as a teacher, when you're giving feedback, rather than rewriting everyone's work, you want to go in and you want to either decide what you want to do, but you can either do the comments. So if I highlighted this section and I clicked on the comment piece, it'll highlight the section I highlighted and it will say, well, I don't even know what to say, but I'm going to say comma because there's like a comma that could be put in there. And now when the learner comes back, they're going to see the highlighted section and they can immediately see the comment that goes with it. If they like these things, as I scroll over them, they can click on the little check box, which will resolve it and accept it. In the sense of a comma, it'll just make it disappear, but the comma will still be there. If I click here, I'll accept the suggestion. If I click the X, I won't. So the pink stuff will go away, right? So this was the misspelling of Nebraska. So I don't like that. I click that X. It keeps what was already there. I can go ahead and change that now, but it didn't accept the suggestion. So again, as I mentioned, when we're sharing a document and when your learners share documents with you, down here we have anyone with a link can be a commenter. The options are viewer, commenter, or editor. So when learners are sending you their homework, or if they're sending something to each other to have someone else review it, remind them to give comment access. And that way people can put comments in and they can make suggestions, but they are not editors. They can't just go in and write over things, and they can do more than just view it. The view only is literally just looking at it. Any questions about that? So this is true in all docs. This is not just about Classroom, but Classroom as a sort of, you know, management system for content, this might be where you end up reviewing the homework. So you can review the homework either through the Drive or through Google Classroom, and you have access to. So the comment bank is actually another thing that Google Classroom gives you that you don't have normally. If there are certain comments that you find you use quite often, like, oh, fantastic, or you're missing a comma, or whatever it is, you can add that to your bank. And then when you're ready to make comments, you can just click on the one you want, and it can speed up your time than just having to rewrite them every time.
So Nell, I just wanted to be clear. So for the commenter, right, if you make comments and you could tell them that they have to edit, you know, look at the comments and then edit, correct?
Exactly. So yes, the comment piece, they will have to make the changes 100%. Like that's, you know, one step further. So and then they can check the comment off just to say they saw it and they got rid of it, and they get to decide, or they can respond to the comment. That's another thing you can do. So say I said comma, and then the next person comes in and they write a comment, they respond to this. Let me do it outside in a different. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second, and I'm gonna look at this from another. Yeah, let me grab that share link. And I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to open up another Google account so I can just show you what it looks like. All right, so I've opened this up in my work email. which means that I'm a different person than this Nell Eckersley, right? I'm this Nell Eckersley is here, and I want to be, I'm now in here as my work email person, I think, my work, yeah, this image up here. So if I wanted to come in and I wanted to comment, so the teacher said, comma, and I'm like, oh, I should have a way to reply. There we go. So I just click on there and I can reply and I can say, I prefer no commas, right? Very creative. So I can hit reply. And so there could be a whole conversation along the side. We use this even in a professional situation, right? If you're working on a proposal or a document of some sort that other people need to review, the comments and the track change, the suggestions allow you to both work together without typing over each other's stuff. So I've seen this quite often with my colleagues where we'll have a back and forth, like, I don't, maybe I even put a comment in here and I say, please help me with this wording. I don't like the way this sounds. I want it to sound more exciting. And my colleague could come in and say, well, how about trying blah, blah, blah. So the comment piece can end up as an actual dialogue on the side. And then when you're done with it, you click the check bar to get rid of it all, right? I have colleagues who love track changes and I've always hated them. I'm very impacted by color. I think that's part of it, but the track changes tend to be different colors and it makes it really hard for me to know where my eyes should go. And in Microsoft Word, there are different views. You can get rid of the track changes if you don't want to see them. Here, you just have to accept them or X them out, and then they'll be gone. And then this will just look like a normal document again. I do think you can view it. Let's look if I just look at the view. Yeah, so if I go to the viewing only, then I get rid of all that messy stuff, if that helps, because for all of us, that can be frustrating. And then if I want to go back to either the suggesting mode or I can change it to the editing mode if I have access. So in this case, I do because the two of us like each other and have given each other edit access. But so I could technically go in here now and change.
So if they send it as a PDF, also you can do the editing and changing and all that as a PDF if they send.
No, you can't. You can do comments. So let me go back to that other example, which is really helpful that we have that example now. So let me share my other version. I
think the comment function is great because then it really, if you're correcting writing, it forces them to do the final edit. Because when you correct their work, a lot of times they don't even look at it. And so they don't really learn. They see your corrections, but they don't learn. So I think this is a much better way to learn.
And I remember that from being in school, right? Like, there were teachers who just went in and like crossed things out and put in their own answers. And I would just go ahead and maybe I had to rewrite it with that stuff, but I didn't have to really process like what was actually wrong. So you could even get to that level, right? Where you're not telling them the answers, but you're identifying areas they might want to, review, check your grammar, not just tell them exactly what they should say, but tell. So yeah, this is I think very helpful for that reason.
I think it's really great.
So the question about the, nope, that didn't do it. Back up here. There we go. So this is the homework that was turned in as a PDF. If I opened it in Adobe Acrobat and I have a fancy version of Adobe Acrobat, I can go in and like highlight things and do stuff like that. But then I'm gonna have to take it back and bring it back in here. What you do have here is this add comment. So I can highlight, it's telling me here, highlight an area to comment on. So I can supposedly highlight this, or I could highlight, and now I can write a comment. I can say, nice use of depends. Right? So you can do a bit of it, but you can't do that, the suggesting piece, only the comment piece. Does that make sense? So and this is something you can work with your learners on. It's interesting. I don't know if this happened because it came from a phone. And there might have been something in that process where you had an option of either sending it as a PDF or as a doc. you'd want to work with your learners to help them know how you want them to respond. As I said, I did a very poor job in my assignment of telling you exactly how I wanted you to respond. You could have them just respond via email, right? If you wanted them to practice email. So it doesn't have to be done through Google Classroom, but the benefit of Google Classroom definitely is that most of this stuff is captured, and for each assignment, a new folder is created automatically by Google Classroom inside that larger folder for the full class. So you can go in and very easily look at things. But again, you're going to want to remind people that they maybe should put their name in the title of the document, because when I go to that folder, this was an example with Play Class, the Google Slide assignment, as those assignments come in, I'm just going to see a bunch of Google Slides with probably all the same name title of the homework assignment. So I might want to be very careful to remind people to say in the instructions that they want to make sure they put their name at the beginning of each, on the title of something. So that way I automatically can come in here and look. That's going to be a challenge for you. You will see who it comes from, in that they made it. I guess that's another way to look at it. So maybe that would work. If I go back to the one today, let me get back to. And again, this Wednesday folder is now somewhere in my drive. It's there alphabetically, but if I wanted to, I could rename it. Right, so if I just now I right clicked on it, I can rename it so that it has alphabetically near the top, or I could make a shortcut and put it somewhere. So for example, I can add a shortcut to our folder for today. So let me do that. So that means that when we go to our when we go back, let me just keep going back. Right, so this is our folder for today. I just added this shortcut, Wednesday Google Club, so you can go and look at this when you go and look at our folder. And here are the two assignments that I created that I'm actually just going to get rid of. And then this is the folder for that particular assignment. So I can see here that Nazilla, you made this one. And then this is weird, right? This one, I guess it's because I edited it. So it's showing who last modified it. But this is why it's really great to put your name at the beginning. And Nazilla, maybe you didn't even do that and it did that for you. It did that for you, or you were smart enough and did that yourself?
Yeah, when I went to the Google Doc, this was
Already there.
made and already there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's again, I've not had a lot of opportunity to play with this fully because I don't have an ongoing class with learners. So
But when I didn't see my name on it, I was like, should I put my name, or
Yeah.
it already has my name on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it certainly gives me both, right? So I get to see the owner of it, and I also
Yeah.
your name at the beginning of it. Okay.
But now
Yes.
when you went to turned in, there's more
Yes.
than just Nazilla's, right?
There were two that I saw. Let's
No,
see.
I wrote something and I know someone
you
else did
did?
also.
All right. Okay. Let me go look at review work. All right. So I was going this way. There we go. Sarah, no files attached. Oh, wait. Let me go back out. I think this is just going to take me through each person. So I can see 4 people turned in. And these are the assignments that were turned in.
And mine is on the left-hand side, so I don't know what that is about, but
It's over here.
yeah. Well,
Nell.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if that was Like I wrote on Marika's document.
So
Like
you
where
can see
Marika.
it. So you can see Marika's, so Marie is what you're saying.
Oh, but
But we
Is it
when I open the homework, like I opened the document, but then I saw her answer. So I thought that maybe
Oh, because that was the one I
everybody was
shared with
answering
you.
on the same.
there, that's it.
So
I
this
said
is
I cheated, and then
can we
she,
as a students, can we also see other people's work, or it's only for the teacher to see?
so
Like if I want to go and check my classmates
yes.
to get an idea of what they did, and I have no idea of what to do, and I just want to make
See some
sure
other
that I'm
examples.
on the right track, and I see my other
Yes.
classmates' work. Is there a possibility to see that the other people's work, or it's just the teacher can see it?
So the model here is that when you clicked submit, that homework went straight into the folder and nobody else could see it except for me and you. The document that Marika and so Marie worked on was the one I created, which you guys were able to access because I think it's in the assignment, but it actually turned out not to be the way to submit your homework. It was sort of like a document I created, which would allow, Nazila, what you're describing. This could be a document where I tell everyone, write your answers in this document, in the attached document, so everyone can see each other's answers. So there are times when seeing each other's answers is really great. When it's a single question, like how many classes can you create in Google Classroom, most people are going to have the same answer and it won't be so interesting for them to see in a single document. And it's a kind of a stupid question anyway. Like I might just do that as a question. When we were creating content here, we had the option of creating just a question. And as we're not really watching the video, you know, it isn't really associated with the video. So my assignment was a bad example.
And about the video, when I went to click it on the assignment assigned to watch the video
Yes.
and then answer the question, the video was not available. It said that the video is not available to. If that happens, obviously the students are gonna inform us about that. And
yes.
in that case, what do we do?
Well, I would just share the link of the video with them separately. So I don't know why it didn't like it. You saw me go get it from YouTube, so we'd have to find out what the deal is, like what, so I'm writing these questions down. So
But
why
I have access to the Google to the video.
Interesting. Even weirder. So
and then next to where it says how to use Google Classroom, the video,
yes.
next to it I see it says Google Classroom Basics. That's the doc. That's where I clicked because I
Yes.
saw that was the new homework.
Yes.
And then Marika.
Yes. Exactly. So I did
I wrote on the same document. But I don't know how to access the one that Nasila access to answer the question as an independent.
Yes. And that was my question to you guys because I don't know how to do that. So Nazila, can you tell us, can I see this? Let me see if
How did you get there?
Well, the point is I have
So
to
when I went to the assigned, I clicked on the assigned homework. So I went to, and it popped up, watch this video. So when I went and clicked on the video was not available. So I couldn't watch the video. Obviously, as nowadays, everybody can go back to the YouTube on their phones or on their laptops to watch the exact one, but I couldn't access it where you put it. So
and then what did you do though to create your document that you submitted? How did you do that part?
then I went to the docs. It gave me the option of the docs. So I created the doc, and I went and I obviously my name was automatically on the assignment, and then it showed that I did the assignment under my name, and I turned it in. After I created the doc, I turned it in to you. So
that's
that's
the
how
point
I
that I
got
think other
my
people are trying to figure out
assignment.
is that. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to try joining the class from a different perspective. Does that help anybody when you heard that Nazila did?
I'm wondering, like did
It sounds like she used a Google Doc in her account,
Yeah.
and then she attached it, right? You attached it
Yes.
to the,
You submit it.
No. I submitted it. I just turned it in. I didn't do anything else. It was so easy. Go to the assignment, click on the video. The video didn't turn on, but okay. And then I went to the Google Doc to write my answer, and I turned in the Google Doc. That's it.
when you mention the Google Doc, you're talking about the
Google
where it says
yeah, I
Google
went to the
Classroom?
Google Doc. No. Right where Nell sent the assigned to. So I went to the assigned, I
Okay.
clicked on it. The assignment came, watched this video and answered these questions. So I clicked on the video didn't turn on. I went, scrolled down. There was a Google Doc. So I clicked on the Google Doc. It created a Google Doc for me.
Okay.
There you can use your answers, whatever, and then turn it in. That's it.
I
And
wonder,
as I turned it in, Nell could see it.
for me it's different because when I open the video, when I play the video, I don't have any other option. I can't see anything else.
Hi
Just
there,
the
Jane here today at Teachers Tech. Today I want to show you how to set up.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is join from another view, but we're going to run out of time. So what I will do is make a little recording of that. I do see someone put something in the chat. Yeah, so it's very weird.
Some of us has the access, like they say that Sarah says, I have access to the video.
So some people had access to the video. I just tried joining the class. I could not. Like, there's a lot of goofiness. So it's really good that we discovered that it's a bit of a struggle. What I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to make a little how-to video where I'm logged in from a different account that actually can join this class, and I'll show. We'll figure out the way to get to that submission piece. There are, this feels to me like something that you really need to play with. So it might be, if you are interested in using, so the benefits of Google Classroom is everything is one place. And for you as a teacher, that might feel like a very difficult, heavy lift in the beginning. But once you've used it once, all the content you've created, you can reuse it. You will be automatically managing where all the content from your learners is going. So you don't have to do all of that manually, because you could create folders manually and share them with your learners as well and have them come in. If this feels already like we've definitely hit some issues today, if that feels overwhelming, everything we've done today you can do outside of Google Classroom, right? You can send your learners a link to a video. You can ask them to respond to the question. It might even be more organic because you would just ask them to email you the answer or put it in the chat, or write it in their own Google Doc and send you the link to that. And in some ways, those skills are more like real life skills. So one thing to think about, another thing to think about when you're deciding to use something like Google Classroom or not, is about what your learners are going to do next. So if your learners are going on, the majority of them are going on to post-secondary education or something like that, or even a type of work maybe that they're going to have to interface with I shouldn't say weird, but with tools that are like learning management systems, where you have to kind of, figure out how to move around inside them and put things in certain places, but also know you can go back and everything will be there. Then the work of learning how to use Google Classroom is even more worth it. If you're a regular human being and your learners are not necessarily going on to post-secondary, they won't be using a learning management system after they leave your program, maybe the basic uses of Google Drive are more important than like managing all of this stuff. So it's something to consider. I'm guessing some of you have used it and have found the value of it. certainly the things we did today, like the commenting and suggestions in Google Drive, that all can be done without Google Classroom. The one thing that was different is that Google Classroom does let you keep that bank of suggestions or a bank of comments, which could be helpful if you're working with lots of students and have very similar comments for all of them. So we still saw today how you can create a class in here. We saw that you could assign work. You could see who the other learners were. There are techniques which would let you would have to decide if you want learners to see each other's work or not, or work together in the same space. That would change the way that you would give directions. Anybody, any other questions? I know there was a lot. And
one more question about the second session that we are going to have it. You said it's March 26th. Is Lazalina going to send us the email to register ourselves, or automatically we are going to be contacted by you?
So first of all, I can just put this right in the chat right now. If you want to register right now, you can. What will happen for Google Club, I grab everybody's email, whoever registers for Google Club, and I will use that list to promote this. Liz Elena will also promote it, so you should see it from both of us, but you certainly can just go ahead and I'll include this in the email I send out as well. So if you don't
Thank you. And is it going to be the same time, 4 to?
It's the same time, so it's
Okay.
always
All right.
fourth Wednesday, third Wednesday of the month or something like that, and it's always 4 to 5:30.
Right.
Yes. So other things in here are, you'll see when you look at the slides, we didn't get through all of them, but we did a lot of it in real life rather than here. So you'll see that this was the document I shared with you, or I showed you. Let's do these very quickly. So knowledge check. Which page do you go to in Google Classroom to enroll or add students? Can anyone remember what it was called?
Which page do you need to go?
People.
The plus
People.
sign. Oh, no.
A stream?
I think was it classwork or people? What was the question again? Let's see. To enroll or add students. So I think that was under people.
People.
Right? Under people, this is where I can add students. There you go. So that's the kind of question they ask on the certificate. It's that kind of thing. So you might even know how to do a lot of this stuff, but you're going to have to be able to kind of verbalize it, because it's going to ask you questions like that. Very quickly, the next one we have, which page do you need to go to in Google Classroom to assign work and collect assignments?
Classwork.
There you go, classwork.
Classwork.
Yeah, very good. And then we have, which of the following is a feature in Docs that will help you save time when giving feedback to students?
The edit.
Comment bank.
Comment bank,
Comments.
right. Yeah,
and
comment
edits.
bank is that special thing that Google Classroom gives you that you can save comments that you use frequently.
Okay.
All right, well, that is that. Let me give you the evaluation link. Again, I will share all of this with you in the email I sent shortly.
Okay. Can I answer it later, because I have to go to work?
Absolutely.
I have a question that I don't know, Nell, if you were explaining this. A student shared with me her document, and I made some suggestions, and she told me that she couldn't see them. So now I'm wondering because I can't suggest, but if she doesn't turn on, she has to have editing
So she has to go up, right. So when she's looking at the document,
she has to click on suggesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
See if that helps, because I do think if
I'm gonna ask her. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out, because she kept saying, like, I can see them, and I was like, how is it that I'm able to do it? But yeah, now when you explain it, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because this I never noticed this even existed. Like it was someone I was working with who was like, well, can we put it in suggestion mode? And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, that's what that is. So it's very easy to ignore this and not ever notice it. You're most of the time when you create a new document, you're automatically in editing mode.
Mhm.
Suggesting mode is really what you're put into if someone shares in comment mode. And then the view only is even weirder, right? Because you lose everything. So it's very good for people to know that they can go in and change that. But see if that
Mhm.
helps, Marie, because that sounds like
Okay.
probably what the problem is.
Because I would have thought that if I am being able to do it,
She will
it's
see
because
it.
the other person has it on. But
No,
apparently
so
you
that's
can suggest even if the person has it off.
correct. If I share with you in a view only, not view only, but if I share with you in a edit access ability one, and most, I will say, I don't know how you all are, but most of the time when I'm sharing, I either share with view only, like the slides
Mhm. So
they
the
are view
people can't
only.
make changes to your document.
Right. So that's common. And then I also share with edit because that's the other thing I want you to be able to do. It's rare
If you're collaborating.
that I do the commenting thing because that's not something we do very often, except in an educational situation, I think, or if you're working together with someone else on writing something. So so it's common that people don't know the commenter version very well, and I've not noticed that you can change that button up there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let us know if that turns out to be the
Yes.
issue. So I hope
Okay.
that's a solution.
Thank you.
Anybody,
Have
any
a
other
good
questions?
rest of your
Yes. Rest of the week and month and something like that.
yeah. Hopefully spring will be here
It
soon.
feels like it now, and then next week I think it's
Feels
going to
like
be
it. Yeah.
yeah. Anybody else? Any other last questions?
Well, thank you so much. It was great.
You're very, very welcome. Again,
you.
I'm sorry there was some confusions, but I will make a short video and I think that will solve those things. And then as you hit things, just feel free to bring them up and we will talk about them more next time. All right, take care, everybody. Again, you'll get an email from me either later today or early tomorrow with the slide link and the everything else. Sean, did you have a question?
Yeah, tell me about this AI workshop you're either teaching or taking. Which is it?
All right, let me stop. I'm just going to stop our recording.